What's good, YouTubers and YouTubeheads? This is JB Sports, back again with another one. Breaking news and great news for the sport of boxing. Two undefeated lightweight contenders have come to an agreement. A purse bid that was scheduled to take place this afternoon at the WBC headquarters has been called off. And number two in the WBC, undefeated former unified 130-pound champion Shakur Stevenson has come to an agreement to take on fellow undefeated fighter number 4 in the WBC, Frank Martin. This is a fight that many boxing fans are going to be excited about. The winner of this fight will be the interim WBC lightweight champion, soon to be full WBC lightweight champion once Devin Haney do what many people believe he's going to do, move up to 140 pounds and take on WBC junior welterweight champion Regis Prograis. Very, very exciting news for hardcore boxing fans. This fight is slated to take place on the ESPN platform. Hopefully it'll be on regular ESPN, so it'll be more people will be able to check this fight out. Now, if it takes place on ESPN Plus, that will limit the audience, but due to the fact that both fighters are going to command huge purses, that might force this fight to be on ESPN Plus or even yet ESPN pay-per-view. So we will see what happens and we will see what transpires. But great news! We got Shakur Stevenson, who's represented by Top Rank Boxing, and Frank Martin, who's represented by TGB Promotions, who promotes for PBC, have come to an agreement, and the purse bid has been avoided. Me, myself, and I was looking forward to a purse bid because I wanted to see if Top Rank was going to lose one of their biggest stars to PBC and Showtime. But they've come to an agreement. Now, Frank Martin is not viewed on the same scale as Top Rank views Shakur Stevenson. Frank Martin is not one of the bigger stars at the PBC. So it would have been interesting to see, once they go to purse bid, how high Top Rank would have been willing to go to secure that fight on their platform. But we don't have to worry about that no longer. Both sides have come to agreement, and we have one of the best fights at 135 pounds coming to fruition. Hopefully this forces other top fighters at 135 pounds to make the biggest and best fights. Now, Tank Davis will be coming back in December, either on the 9th or on the 30th, and that's going to play a part in ultimately what date Frank Martin and Shakur Stevenson fight transpires on, because it's 2 dates that they're working with. November 16th, which is the preferred date for Top Rank Boxing, and December 9th. Now again, if the PBC has an event on December 9th, and they have 2 dates reserved in December 9th to December 30th, for fights to take place at either MGM Grand or T-Mobile Arena on Showtime pay-per-view. If they have a pay-per-view event on the 9th, then Shakur Stevenson versus Frank Martin would definitely go down on November 16th. Now, on the other hand, if they put the fight on December 30th, the Showtime pay-per-view event, then we can have Shakur Stevenson versus Frank Martin December 9th at Madison Square Garden. So we will see what happens, and we will see what transpires. Very, very interesting developments in the sport of boxing. Now, Top Rank does have another event in December, Heisman Trophy Night. I don't know what date that is. I don't know if that's a week after December 19th or 2 weeks after December 19th. Or maybe it is on December 19th. Maybe December 9th is the Heisman Trophy. I think that's kind of early for the Heisman Trophy. I got to go back and look at the date for the 2023 Heisman Trophy ceremony. But December 9th seemed a little early, but that might be Heisman Trophy night. I know the big game, Ohio State and Michigan, is the last Saturday in November. And then that first Saturday in December is Army versus Navy. And then that week later is the Heisman Trophy ceremony. So it's either on December 9th or on December 16th. I have to go look that up. But whatever the case may be, we have a very mouth-watering matchup featuring two of the best fighters in boxing today, two undefeated fighters, two guys that don't know how it feels to lose a boxing match, so they're going to put it all on the line. Shakur Stevenson, I have him in my top 10 pound-for-pound rankings. Frank Martin is a very skilled, technical fighter. Now, I've heard a lot of people, when this fight was first mentioned, and thinking that Shakur Stevenson is going to wash Frank Martin. They think Shakur Stevenson is going to win a rather comfortable unanimous decision. I don't see the fight going that way. I think it's going to be a competitive fight, whoever wins. I think whoever loses is going to win a bunch of rounds. I don't see this going to be no 10-2 or even a 9-3 fight. I think it's going to be 8-4. I'm not favoring Shakur Stevenson to win the fight, but if we get to Frank Martin that showed up versus Michelle Rivera, this is going to be a very exciting, high-level fight. But the problem with Frank Martin is he's not as consistent as Shakur Stevenson. You look at his last fight with Artem, he was down after 9 rounds in a fight with a fighter that nobody had never heard of. And when I watched a film of the guy before the fight with Frank Martin, he did not look that impressive to me. He looked kind of slow feet. But he seems to have rise to the occasion versus Frank Martin. He put on the fight of his life and gave Frank Martin all he can handle and lost a very competitive, I think it was even a split decision. But I had Artem beat Frank Martin after 9 rounds. I had a 5-4. I was on a podcast, analyzing that fight as it was going down. And I was saying, man, he down 5 rounds to 4. He's going to have to pick it up. And he was able to win the last 3 rounds, the championship rounds. He got the knockdown to cement the victory. But he's definitely got to up his performance from his last fight. Make no mistake about it, because he's facing a much better, much more skilled fighter. A guy that's consistent round after round after round. He don't have those dips like Frank Martin tends to have dips in his fights. Even the fight before the Michelle Rivera fight, which he put on a complete dominating performance. The fight against Martinez, the guy that Chris Colbert knocked out and destroyed, he was having problems early in that fight. Very close fight. He might have been down, he might have been up, very close in the first half of that fight. But he was able to find his rhythm, and he was able to ultimately stop the guy. But that fight, just like his last fight, showed very inconsistency in his style in those fights, his punch output. His flow. When you're in your flow, you're in your rhythm, But he seems to go in and out of his rhythm doing certain fights. He can't do that against Shakur Stevenson, because Shakur Stevenson is one thing about him, he's on a high level and he's consistent round after round after round. And if Frank Martin has those dips like he had in those 2 fights, he will lose to Shakur Stevenson. So we will see what happens, and we will see what transpires. Follow me on Facebook, Gerard Briscoe. Like, share, subscribe to JB Sports, the man, the myth, the legend. And I holla.